Howdy design fans and welcome back. As we set the stage for effective landing page design, it just makes sense that we spend a few minutes talking about the decision-making process and how people actually buy from you. After all, the whole point of this is to get more people to take the meaningful actions on your site that will ultimately lead to some sort of revenue generation. So it's worthwhile to understand how buyers progress to making those purchases, to taking those conversion actions, and it's actually very important because the different stages of the funnel represent different strategies and different appropriate ways to design your landing pages. So if you've ever been in sales, you've probably heard of the TheIDA sales funnel. You might pronounce it however you pronounce it, TheIDA, right? But it's the foundation and the backbone of essentially every modern sales team, and it's accepted in the world today as something very, very reliable and proven over and over and over again. This was a construct originally put forth by Elias St. Elmo Lewis in 1898 using customer studies from the US insurance market to try to understand how sales activities and how sales teams operate. The basic assumption of the TheIDA sales funnel is that every single buyer goes through 4 main cognitive phases on their journey to purchasing something. The first stage is awareness, right? People becoming aware that they have a need for a specific product or service, and an awareness that that product and service actually exists. It's the foundation of ultimately getting to the purchasing point. The next stage of the funnel is called interest, right? Now that I'm aware that I have this need, I'm aware that this product or service exists, right? I have that awareness, the knowledge. I'm actually interested in learning about the product and service. I'm interested in evaluating my options. I'm interested in getting more information, and I'm interested in engaging with brands and spending time, mental attention, mental energy on brands that potentially offer that product and service. The third stage is desire. Now that I've evaluated my options, I'm aware that it exists. I have a need for it. Now I actually have an active sense of desire to pursue this specific product or service, right? I'm actually in that mode where I've decided that I want it, right? That's the desire stage. The fourth stage, not necessarily the last stage, but the fourth stage in the TheIDA funnel is the action stage, right? Very straightforward. I'm aware that it exists. I'm interested in learning about it. I then develop a desire to have it. And now I'm going to take the action and actually become a customer. Here's an interesting point. The first 3 stages, awareness, interest, and desire, are essentially due to extrinsic external stimuli in the environment. They are based on what's available in the marketplace. They're based on the people that this person interacted with. They're based on the circumstances of this person's life, potentially their income bracket. It's based upon the different companies that they've been exposed to. Right? So it's external stimuli that affect the awareness, interest, and desire stage. But what Elias St. Elmo Lewis posited was that the action stage was not necessarily controlled by intrinsic or extrinsic stimuli in the environment. It was just simply a natural result if these 3 stages were met. If awareness, interest, and desire were met, action would be a natural result, obviously providing that it was available to that potential customer. Now let's just talk about a couple more things that are important about the TheIDA sales funnel. Why are we talking about this with web design, right? Because the whole purpose of this course is to teach you how to design effective pages and how to appeal to your website visitors. Well, your website visitors are always going to fall in one of these categories, right? You have these 4 categories of visitors, and we're going to talk about how these visitors are applied to web design in a second. But your prospects and your website visitors, they need different treatment, and they need to be given different information based on where they are in the funnel. Somebody who's in the awareness stage does not need to necessarily see the pricing page or to figure out where the checkout button is, right? They need to be prompted with different types of information. Somebody in the action stage does not need paragraphs and paragraphs of a supporting copy. What they need is an easy way to check out or an easy way to get in touch with you. So understanding where your visitors are in the funnel is very important. But more importantly, understanding how to appeal to those different stages and how to design your landing pages that will be effective for visitors in each one of those 4 stages is extremely important. lots of subsequent research. Obviously, this has been the IDA sales funnel was first introduced over 100 years ago, right? So lots of subsequent research, especially modern day research, has shown that the buying funnel is much more complex today. So you might have people, pogoing back and forth between different stages. There might be a lot of different nuances in each stage. There might be a lot of different variables in each stage. But essentially, a customer still has to go through all 4 of these stages. The next most important thing to understand is that the length of the sales cycle can vary greatly. The length of time, the amount of time it takes for a person to go through these 4 stages could have a huge wide range. Just as a quick example, let's say, take a car for example. A person might be aware that cars exist and that it might be a need that they may have as a very young child, right? You might be 3, 4 years old, 2, 3 years old when you become aware of cars. Maybe when you're a little bit older. But you might not really be interested in becoming a customer of a car. But when you pass your permit test and your license test, you become interested in cars. You start researching different types of cars. You start learning about the different components of cars that make a good car or the type of car that you'd want. You might start looking at pricing. Now, that might be when you're 16 or 17. When you're 22 and you could actually afford a car, you might enter the desire stage, right? Now I mentally want to pursue the purchasing of a car. And then finally, when you find the right option for you, you evaluate lots of options. It might take additional months or years. You take the action in buying a car. So we just described a sales cycle that could span 23 years. There also might be the IDA sales funnel that spans 23 seconds. If I'm on a website and I see a pop-up sale for a Bluetooth headset that is water resistant and it has 40 hours of talk time, right? That's something that I might not have been aware of existed. I might not have, and this is just an example, obviously. I might not have been aware that Bluetooth headsets could have 40 hours of talk time and that were water resistant. I immediately become interested. Yet I know that I could afford it because I see the price in the ad. It's $15. I have a desire for it. I click the ad and I go to the checkout phase, right? The checkout stage, because I was guaranteed with a 30-day money back, no questions asked return policy, right? That was a 23-second IDA sales funnel as opposed to 23 years. So depending on your products and services, depending on the business model you're in, and depending on the type of conversion you want to track, right? If you're tracking sales, if your conversion action that you're optimizing for is sales, so you're typically going to have a longer sales cycle. People are typically not going to buy things within a few minutes of becoming aware that they exist, right? It's a much more natural progression, which is why you nurture the leads, which is why you have supporting information on your website, which is why you offer free case studies, which is why you offer guarantees. You do all these different types of things to make that sales funnel go quicker and help the user progress stage to stage. If your sales cycle, if your conversion rate rather is just a newsletter sign up, you're going to have a much, much faster sales cycle. They become aware that you're offering them an ebook, they're interested, they desire it, they give their email and name and they get the ebook, right? So it's a much, much faster, easier sales funnel. But as we go through these examples, you're kind of seeing a cool thing that these 4 stages are crucial components to every single buying journey. And just to quickly point out, this basic concept of a funnel why is it called a funnel? Is because people drop off stage to stage, right? So you might have your top level of the funnel here, right? This could be your awareness, right? Your awareness stage. So you'll get your products and services in front of a lot of people and get them to become aware of it. And people will come into the funnel, right? All your clicks on your PPC, your SEO, your direct traffic, your email traffic, your social media marketing campaigns. You'll have lots of people entering in the funnel. And then you might have your second stage of the funnel, which is interest. So a lot of people were aware, but you're going to have a lot of people who came through PPC and different things. They're not necessarily going to make it through. You'll have a lot of drop-offs, right? Spill out of the funnel. And fewer people that came in will make it through to interest. And then obviously you have desire, the same thing. You'll have more spill out from interest. And then the smallest percentage of people are actually going to take an action and buy. So you'll start off with the greatest amount of visitors. This represents visitors. And as you get to the bottom of the funnel, you have fewer and fewer visitors that are potentially going to convert. And then once again, this goes back to this idea that we were speaking about of the maximum conversion ceiling. In this bucket Going into the top of your funnel, you have your yeses, your maybes, your maybe-maybes, your no's, right? All the different types of visitors. And just a small percentage of people are going to actually take an action. But everybody has to go. If anybody gets to the action stage of the TheIDA sales funnel, they get to this stage, they necessarily had to have gone through the previous 3 stages. And this is important. It's not just hyperbole. This is going to become very important as we design our web pages more effectively. Now, Andrew Chack in 2002 wrote a book called Submit Now, and he applies the 4 cognitive stages of the TheIDA sales funnel to your typical website visitors. And he did a really cool job. Tim Ash talks about this in his book, Landing Page Optimization. Fantastic book. I recommend you all getting it. You'll see a lot of the different things that we're talking about there. So browsers is kind of what could be represented by the awareness stage. These are people who haven't made any cognitive mental commitment yet towards your product or services. They might not really even be that interested. I'm just looking, right? These are a lot of those people who are in the no category of website visitors. If you're lucky, nothing that you really do will turn a browser into a customer. But if you're lucky, a lot of these browsers will become interested, and those people who are interested will develop a desire for your product. Then you have evaluators. Evaluators are those comparison shoppers. They're actually spending more time. They might be writing down notes on a pad saying, I saw the Samsung TV for this site. Should I wait till the Black Friday sale, whatever it is? But they're interested, right? They're aware. They've narrowed down the model they want, and now they're interested. Transactors are people who are now in the process of going through a transaction, as the name indicates. They're not necessarily customers yet, but they're in the zone. They're adding items to their shopping cart. They're looking at payment information. They're potentially applying for a line of credit for 18 months of free financing. These are all transactors. They're highly committed. They're not necessarily highly committed to you. There's an overlap here, right? They might still be evaluating. They might not have had made a final decision, but these people need to be given all the supporting information, the clear calls to action for how to find transaction assurances, a sense of trust that this is a valuable qualitative product or service, and they're in that desire stage, right? That represents the desire stage of the TheIDA sales funnel. And then obviously you have customers who actually became a customer. They finished their transaction. And now it's important, what modern research has introduced, this idea of evangelizing, of making sure customers stay satisfied. You might have heard the buzzword, delighting your customers, making sure your customers stay satisfied. So really one of 2 things could happen. They're going to come back and buy again, right? So making sure they stay satisfied means everything from something as simplistic as actually sending them their goods or actually providing the service that they're paying for, to also going above and beyond for your customers, to staying in touch with your customers, to making the customer experience with your packaging be something special and unique. And you see a lot of these really successful companies that do this sort of thing. They delight their customers and they turn their customers into referrals for new customers. Obviously, that comes with a 0 cost per acquisition. It's the highest, most powerful form of getting leads and new customers is with word of mouth referrals. But they also become lifetime customers where they continue to buy again, repeat customers, which increases the lifetime value of your client, which increases the amount that you could pay to acquire that client. And throughout these 4 stages, there's 2 basic recurring themes as you design your web pages. In the very next chapter, we're going to go in and we're going to talk about the rules of awareness. We're going to talk about the key elements that will help promote awareness and the things that will detract from awareness. And I'm going to show you some cool things over there. But the 2 real recurring themes that you really have to think about through all 4 stages is, do you have what I want? And why buy from you? Okay? Those are going to be questions in the customer's mind as you progress through as a customer or a potential buyer progresses through all 4 of these stages. Do you have what I want? Yes, great, no, see ya. But why should I buy from you? If your competitors also sell it, what makes you distinct? What makes you unique? What's in it for me? And if you remember, this is the 5-second test, right? Going all the way back to lecture 1, we said, what were the 2 questions that I told you to ask the strangers or the people in your 5-second test? Is, what do you sell? What does this company sell? Meaning, do you have what I want? And what value is given to your customers from your company? So why should I buy it from you? Those were the 2 questions, and those are the 2 most important questions that are in a customer's mind as they progress through the different stages of the sales funnel. And it's a good exercise to keep in mind as you continue to buy things, right? If you're going to go tonight online, or you're interested in buying a service, or you're taking a vacation, think about your own sales funnel. When did you become aware? At what point did you become interested? But what were the triggers? Think about the triggers that led you from one funnel to the other. When you became aware, what was it that got you interested in the product? When you were interested and you were evaluating, what was it that got you interested in a specific solution? Was it just the practicality of it? Was it a price? Was it that you really liked the sales rep you were working with? Think about these things, and then you're going to be able to apply the triggers in your own life, in your own sales cycle, to how you design your pages for your website visitors. And ultimately, what made you decide to become a customer, and were you delighted? Did you have a good experience? And if you had a good experience, what made it a great experience? And if you had a bad experience, what made your experience poor? That's going to be I'm telling you, I've done this. It's a really cool exercise, and you'll get a lot from it. In the next few lectures, I want to take some time and talk about specific rules of web design as they relate to these 4 stages of the TheIDA sales funnel. That would basically wrap up section 1, and then we're going to jump into chapter 2, which is going to be really exciting stuff, actually implementing and understanding good design on landing pages, bad design on landing pages, everything in between, and how it could ultimately impact in a positive way the bottom line of your company. So thank you for sticking with me through this one. This is fun stuff, and I look very much forward to seeing you all very soon in the next lecture.